Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Let me set the stage for you. It's March 2026, and the world is on edge. The United States has locked itself in a major military operation against Iran, also known as Operation Epic Fury, that started in late February of this year. And so far, it has sent over 50,000 US troops, carried out operations that annihilated Iran's Navy drone ships, and has sent out non-stop airstrikes on areas of interest. This operation has taken also the life of Iran's Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei. But even though the Allies and the US continue to show warfare superiority, the fighting still goes on. And that's what scares me the most.
The world, Taiwan is seeing an increase in Chinese military activity near the country. The Defense Ministry says it spotted 26 Chinese military aircraft and 7 naval vessels operating near Taiwan between Saturday and Sunday morning. 16 of the aircraft came close to Taiwan's main island. The increase in activity follows several days of little to no aircraft detected near Taiwan. This follows the conclusion of China's 2 sessions, its annual plenary meetings.
Now, here's a question I have for you. You can call it a million-dollar question if you wish. What exactly happens when the US is occupied on the other side of the world dealing with a Middle East issue? Well, there are plenty of sharks around this world that are willing to take advantage of the situation, especially when Big Brother is not looking over his shoulder. And right now there's only one nation that's doing that right now as we speak, and that's China. China has been increasing its presence around Taiwan since the US has been dealing with the Israeli issue. And right now, I fear that they will continue to push harder or take advantage of the situation and go on a full-on invasion if prompted.
Over Taiwan thickens. Though Chinese military drills around Taiwan are nothing new, the timing and the size of the latest exercises may be significant. They come in the wake of comments made by Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takachi implying the possibility of armed intervention in the Taiwan Strait. Her comments...
Now, after everything you've learned so far, we're going to be breaking down the facts, the risks, and why Beijing might pounce, and why most experts say that China may take this opportunity to invade Taiwan. Stick around. By the end, you'll understand if this is a spark of World War III or just another high-stakes standoff. But please, like and subscribe. And now, let's dive in. Okay, first off, let's be clear on the facts. The US and Israel launched a massive strike on Iran in late February. The main goal was supposedly to crush Iran's missile program, sink its navy, secure the Strait of Hormuz for the global oil routes, but ultimately, it was to end the nuclear threat that was supposedly potentially escalating in Iran. But during the process, many horrors occurred. The current regime massacred its own people by the thousands to keep control, while shutting off the internet to keep control of the narrative as well.
There are reports tonight out of Iran that at least 12,000 people and possibly as many as 20,000 have been killed in the regime's crackdown on anti-government protests. Elizabeth Palmer in London has the details.
There was intermittent cell service again today in Iran, and information is trickling out about thousands of protesters killed by security forces. Here you can see Tehranis looking through bullet-riddled bodies in the medical examiner's compound, searching for loved ones. We counted roughly 400 dead here. Contacts in Iran also tell us that security forces are threatening hospital staff to turn over the names and addresses of wounded protesters. And one protester is due to be executed tomorrow.
As of right now, over 50,000 American troops are in the region. 2 aircraft carriers, hundreds of fighters, 24/7 strikes. The US Central Command says Iran's navy is basically gone. But Iran is hitting back with drones, missiles, all across the Middle East. And not only is that becoming an issue for us, but the oil prices are spiking. Shippings are being disrupted, and it's only escalating even further due to Israel's continuation of disregarding the US requests on not bombing Israel's oil plant processing areas.
really shot off across social media with some of the vision coming out of Iran there. Israeli strikes hit an oil refinery in the Iranian capital Tehran last night, and the scenes were apocalyptic. These fireballs lighting up the night sky, and those flames have continued to burn throughout the course of today, which has led to a situation in the capital where it has continued to be blanketed in this thick, acrid smoke. It's prompted a warning from the Iranian Red Crescent Society for people to stay indoors, to close their windows, and to use face masks if they are venturing outside. And there have also been reports of chemical rain, acidic rain, falling as a result of those chemicals being thrown into the sky. Now, Israel says that these fuel depots, it's not just that one in Tehran which was hit, a number of them across the country, but it is insisting that those were part of the Iranian war machine and therefore a viable and lawful target as part of its bombardment of Iran along with the United States.
Okay, this leaves a large lingering question in the US. Is our attention being occupied at the wrong place at the wrong time? Now, I don't mean by occupation as in boots on the ground invasion like we did in Iraq, but resources, attention, munitions are being poured into the Middle East. Carriers that could be in the Pacific are now in the Gulf. Precision missiles that would defend Taiwan are getting used up quickly in Iran. Allies in Asia are getting nervous. Will this be the distraction Beijing was waiting for? Or is it not?
China has warned against external forces backing Taiwan independence after launching extensive live-fire drills around the island. It comes just 11 days after the US announced its largest ever arms sale to Taipei, worth $11 billion. Taiwan says it spotted 89 Chinese military aircraft, along with 28 warships and Coast Guard vessels encircling the island. It adds that this is the highest number of Chinese aircraft reported for a single day since October last year. State media reporting that the Chinese military has deployed multiple forces in the central Taiwan Strait for its Justice Mission 2025 drills. Military exercises set to continue tomorrow as well, across 7 zones designated by the country's Maritime Safety Administration. China says they are aimed at boosting naval and air force combat readiness.
So you may be wondering yourself, why does it really matter for us in the US to really care about what's happening in Taiwan? Well, we need to take a step back. China has been calling for a reunification at its core for decades. Xi Jinping says it's the greatest trend of history. Means it's been going on for a minute. And Taiwan is a democratic, high-tech powerhouse making 90% of the world's advanced chips. And it's just 100 miles away from the mainland of China. And you can really see that China doesn't really care about the brothers and sisters of a lowly island that's far away. It's truly after its technology. China knows anybody who controls Taiwan controls the future of technology. Beijing claims that Taiwan has always been a breakaway province and that it truly belongs to the homeland of China. But Taiwan says no thank you. They've never agreed to that sentiment and they truly believe that they're an independent country. But luckily for Taiwan, the US has always been committed by law to arm Taiwan for self-defense. But there's been no formal treaty from the US, and we could not publicly recognize Taiwan as an independent country, because China has already told everyone that if anybody recognizes Taiwan as an independent country or tries to take over Taiwan, they will be seen as an enemy and most likely would start a whole new world war. And the one thing we don't want is another global chip shortage, as we experienced back in COVID. And we definitely don't want to risk the millions of dollars and not only the millions of lives that would happen in this war. Now, I'm not saying that the United States couldn't handle China. I truly do believe America has the strongest military in the world. But China does have numbers, and they've been increasing their hypersonic missiles, new carriers, and amphibious ships. Now, it could be a numbers game where they just throw enough darts on the wall and see which one hits the bullseye type of scenario. Even though they may not have the technology that matches to ours, they can still cause plenty of damage. Okay, so now that we know the basics of exactly what's going on with Taiwan and China, especially with us being occupied in the Middle East, I'll be giving you 3 arguments on why China would take advantage of the situation, and probably a couple of why they wouldn't. Argument 1. The US is stretched thin. About 40% of ready-use Navy ships are now in the Middle East. Munition stocks, Patriots, THAADs, Tomahawks are dropping fast after thousands of strikes on Iran. Replenishing could take years. Asian allies like Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan are openly worried. What if China moves while America's busy? Argument 2. Beijing is watching and learning. Chinese analysts are studying US tactics in real time. AI targeting, decapitation strikes, precision bombing. The PLA officers already did this with Ukraine and Russia. But what lessons did China learn after watching the US? They learned how to disrupt command chains, use drones, and handle blockades. Argument 3. The perfect storm. Trump has prioritized the Western Hemisphere and downplayed some of China's threats. Oil reserves in China's stockpile is perfect for surviving a Taiwan blockade. Some hawks in Beijing might see this as a now or never. The US is distracted, munitions are low, Trump is transactional. This is also known as the gray zone. This will bring more jets buzzing near Taiwan, Chinese fake news, and targeted cyber attacks. Things could escalate fast. One Sky News analyst even said, China might see this as the perfect opportunity. Even though we have 3 good arguments on why China could take advantage of the situation and attack Taiwan, the counterintelligence agency has said that China has really no plan to invade Taiwan in the year 2027. Now, does this mean this is off the board completely? No. But we can take it with some sugar and salt, knowing that we're not going to be expecting anything while we're occupied in the Middle East, dealing with the Iran and Israeli war. You may be asking yourself, why wouldn't China want to take on Taiwan when the US is occupied in the Middle East? Well, we need to take a step back and realize in war, invasion at this scale is complete suicide without a surprise. Even without the US's full help, Taiwan has strategies to take on fleets of ships without anyone's help. They have missiles, mines, and drones that they purchase from their allies. The US has said it will defend the first island chains, and that Trump's national defense strategy still prioritizes China as the main threat. Plus, Xi has purged top PLA generals due to corruption and disloyalty. The military isn't ready for a full-on invasion, by far. A failed invasion could collapse his regime, could destroy the Chinese economy catastrophically, and Chinese trade with the US and allies would tank. Global backlash would be massive. And recent analysis show that the Iran war actually shows the US's resolve. America can fight and win high-intensity operations. Depleting ammunitions may hurt, but it won't stop the US. And China knows a Taiwan war would be 10 times bigger than the Israel and Iran war that's happening right now. Surprisingly, Beijing is condemning the Iran war by sending 0 weapons to Iran. But I believe they're trying to play it safe. China is stockpiling oil, studying its enemies, and also it's studying the failures of its allies. Not mobilizing for Taiwan is possibly the greatest thing that China is not doing right now, and for a good reason. The bottom line is that the distraction creates risks, but not enough to flip the calculus due to the overwhelming power of the US. Even though experts are still split and leaning in cautiously in the idea that anything can happen, some warn that the heightened gray zone operations may increase, that the US is still occupied in the Middle East. More encirclement drills, cyber attacks. Others say that the US is actually showing strength in Iran and is actually deterring Xi from committing anything stupid. Taiwan is ramping up its defenses as well, learning from the Ukraine war and now Iran. But even with all this information that we know, in the end, we won't know until it happens. So stay cautious and stay vigilant. My name is Detective Raincoat, and I'll see you in the next one.